Hello everyone, this is Joel over here. So this is our ninth episode of a React series, and previously we have seen what is filtering, sorting, and all those stuffs. And in this episode, we will just look into what is click events. That is, we are gonna give some functional capabilities for these buttons over here. So this is a place which we left. Let me reset the cards. Okay, const.vfm courses. I'll just remove this, and instead of this it should be, what's the thing, cards, right? Yeah, cards. Even sorting is no need. I'll just remove, and yep, we got all the cards over here. Okay, so now let's go into our episode, and this is our episode 9, which we are gonna see the concept called what is click handling. So now we have a buttons called enroll. So these buttons doesn't have any computational functions. Let's open our console window. Let's reload this. So now you can see there is no any computational function is happening over here because we didn't write any scripts for our buttons over here. So now to write a scripts, we have a variable, or else you can say a property in a button called onClick. Okay, here's the one. OnClick, curly braces open and curly braces closes. So here, uh, basically in our HTML and JavaScript, we used to give in double quotes, right? So let's assume we are giving in double quotes. So now, let's write it a variable called purchased. So now you can see on click listener value to be function instead of getting a string. They're just throwing an error over here saying that on click property is always will hold a function in React. Unlike in JavaScript, it won't hold a string over here. So instead of giving this in a quotes, we have to give a function over here. So before here, I'll just write a function saying that function button handle, okay, something button handle, and I have created a function over here. So now in this function, I'm gonna print something console.log saying that this course is, sorry, is being enrolled, something kind of this. Okay, so now here in this button handle is the name of the function, right? I'll just copy this, and over here I'll just paste this. But still you can see it throws an error because we have to give this in dynamically, which is we have to enclose this with the curly braces. So now you can see on click equal to button function, and as per in our Java and HTML, we used to give our parenthesis over here, which is gonna pass an argument over here. So now if you just see, I didn't click the buttons over here. Instead of clicking these buttons, these courses has been printed in our console. You can see the course has been enrolled, the course is in enrolled, like it got printed in our console.log. This is because this parenthesis makes the React to call by itself without any actions in the button. This parenthesis will be called. So in JavaScript and HTML, we are using this kind of syntaxes to our on-click property for our button. But in case of React, these parentheses should be removed. So now if we just refresh it, you can see console.log is empty. And if we click that HTML course, it says the course has been enrolled. CSS, it says enrolled. JavaScript, React course, it says it's been enrolled over here. You can click how many times you want. Okay. So parenthesis can't be provided over here. Okay, then how we can pass an argument over here? Let's say we are just getting an argument called discount. Some discount value we're just getting. And what I'm going to tell is this course is being enrolled, uh, comma, enrolled with, comma, I'm just getting this discount value, and then I'll just paste this. This course has been enrolled with discount something. Okay, so in first click also you can just add the title of a course, like what course is been enrolled for. In this case I'll just take argument like props dot title and just give comma over here. That's it. So now we are just getting an argument called discount over here. So now if you just refresh it and if you just click, you can see uh, the discount thing alone is got emptied over here. So this is because we didn't pass any argument over here. So this button handle doesn't passing any argument, so that this can be received and the value can be passed over here. But in onClick function, if we just append this parenthesis for passing the argument, if we check in console.log, everything got uh, printed without any actions in the button. The console.log got printed over here, and you can see instead of discount it says undefined, which is discount is not being defined in our scripts since we didn't pass any argument. So what is the way we can pass an argument is we can wrap this function into a container, or else you can say anonymous function, or else it's also called as arrow function. That's what I have said. Arrow function is most important in React. Without arrow function you can't do nothing in React. So arrow function is much more important. So now let's write an arrow function. So brackets open, and it's a kind of anonymous function, right? Since it's single line, I'm not just giving this brackets over here, curly braces, since it's a single line over here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass some number which is 45. So now if you just refresh it and if you just click on JS course, it says JS course, this course is being enrolled with 45%. Okay, let's remove this presentation. Okay, so now if you just click on the button, it says CSS course has been enrolled with 45% discount. React course has been enrolled with 45% something. So to pass an argument in our button, we have to use a anonymous function which is called arrow function over here. And next thing is we can get an argument in an arrow function saying that event, and we are gonna pass this event over here. Okay, so this event I will be just getting over here as, let's keep it as e, and over here I'll just print console.log e. Okay, so now you can just see if I click any button over here, like in this case if I click React, it says React course is enrolled with 45% is the what we know. In below that you can see an event is being printed in our console. So this is some attributes or else properties or else events of your buttons. So this is not quite useful for everyone, but in some case it is very useful. Example, you can see alt key is like alternative key. Instead of clicking, we would assign some other keyboard shortcuts to make the button press. Example, enters for Google search and those kinds of thing. And the X and Y coordinates. Default prevented is some default keys will be assigned for some buttons, right? Those buttons are being like false, which is they are removed, and target is button, shift key is being turned off. Okay, so all these events can be print and viewed for backend purposes in future, but this is not much needed for a front-end developer over here. So events, even instead of taking this as an argument over here, we can just cut this and make this thing into curly braces for multiple lines, and I'll just paste a semicolon, and I'll just print it over here. Even now you can see if I click, okay, E is not defined because it's not E over here, it's event, right? Yep. So now if you just click on here, you can see same event is been printed over here. Instead of printing it inside a function, you can go in this manner also. It doesn't make any sense over here. Okay, fine. Now this has been done. Printing all these things in console has been happened. Next thing is, how can we open a link through a click of button? Okay, so now let me erase this. Okay, and no need of getting any arguments also. Okay, so let's close this and make this brackets closed. Even this, no need of anonymous function also. You can just write a script in this button handle itself. For simplicity, I'll just go with google.com. Okay, this is a google.com. Let's change it to light mode. Yep. So now I'll just copy the link of it. Right click and copy link. Okay, I have copied the link of our Google homepage. So now I'll just open this React. So our motive is, if this button has been clicked, it should open a link window, right? So instead of printing this, I'll just make this comment. We have a property. Okay, why is it not getting comment? Okay, we have a property called window.open is a method. So we are gonna open a window. Window is already predefined thing in a React. So using that, we are gonna open a window. Open is a method. So here inside a method, they are like suggesting you like paste this URL in a string. So we are mentioning a quotes, and we are simply pasting this URL over here. You can't paste the uh, just an address over here. You have to place the full web address with HTTPS to make this web window.open to access over here. Okay, so now let's move on to our React page. If we just click on any button, you can see the window has been opened. Either over here, you can see the window has been opening. So this is how you can open an external link using the click of your button, and this is quite useful when you are just creating an web application, so on other stuffs. Even this can be written without handling a function over here. Let's cut this. I'll just make this function comment. Okay, so now in onClick, instead of button handling, we can just make this as a statement over here. So even now, okay, see now, before clicking on the button, the function is being called over here. This is because we are using a parenthesis which makes the function, which makes the onClick to call by itself, right? We have seen in earlier first part of our video, right? So we have to wrap this with an arrow function over here. Let's make this into arrow function saying that this thing. So now if you open our host page and if you just click, it just open into the window UI. So you can just go with either options. Either you can just go with this function or else this way. Anything is fine. So that's it of buttons, and there are some more computational functions, like if we click on the buttons, it may render some UI element in our React component. But to handle those things, we need to understand what is use state hook over here. So on next episode, we will just look into what is use state hook, and using that we can just see based on the click events how we can alter the UI in our React page and web UI. So that's it of in this video. Hope you guys understood. Thank you and stay tuned for the next episode. Thank you.